listen to fall to the floor.
Hello, welcome back to another pen talk. I like to do something different, something that hopefully your viewers would be interested in. So this is a Visconti I've had in my collection for a while. I actually purchased it in 2002, and it's my first and only Visconti. So we'll get into that a little bit later. If we turn the box over, we'll see it's a Van Gogh in Musk. This says medium nib, but it's not a medium nib any longer, and we'll also discuss that. Just a classic, cardboard sleeve, something to protect the faux leather case that the pen is in. I mean, it's a nice presentation. You open it up, you'll see the pen and a bottle of ink. Inside the lid is the Visconti logo. It does look like it's a wear and tear on it, but this pen is about 14 years old, not vintage yet. The Visconti ink, as I've learned from some of my earlier experiments, is a green, as we can see the green cap on it, and that goes with this pen, which is like, they called the green musk. So we're going to move a little bit and get some sunlight on it. Hopefully, with the sunlight, it'll bring out this very unique resin. It's a combination of organic resins and acrylics that are cast together to give it this interesting, unique look. It is semi-transparent, so when you catch the right angle, you can see the nib, you can see the section. The clip has this interesting screw here, and the clip is spring-loaded, so it opens up very easily. Probably this clip works a little bit nicer than their newer design, which doesn't have any opening here in the front for putting onto different types of fabric. And the Visconti logo is engraved in the front of the clip. Van Gogh is in the cap band, along with Visconti. Nice engraving. This pen has a unique closing mechanism. They call it the 3Ks. They call it a cam operated system. So it's just a slight turn and the cap comes off very easily, and there's no threads or anything here. Very smooth transition from the section to the barrel. And it closes very easily, very securely. So it's an interesting design. I did some study on it, and they no longer make it. Rumor is that it was hard to manufacture, had quality issues. I haven't found anything to substantiate those, but that's what I read. This has a 14 karat gold nib, and as you can see, it's a very long nib. We'll put ink nib to paper and see how it works out. It's a metal section, not my favorite, but I don't really notice it. It is a little bit smooth, but so's the resin plastic. You can hold it anywhere. It really doesn't matter. The pen is very well balanced. So this pen is no longer made, this particular pen, but this resin, the Musk, is still in play. They do a midi and a maxi now of this pen. It's gone through a few permutations. The Goughs had a nice set. They sold these originally in a set of 13, but I don't think the Musk was part of that because it's not related to a particular painting. Let's go get the scales, because I think that'll be an interesting thing to look at. So the pen weighs in at 33.7 grams, which is, I'd say, slightly above average, slightly on the heavy side, but you don't notice it because of the way it's balanced. The cap is 12.9, so the cap is about a third of the weight of the pen. This is the pamphlet that came with the pen. It's a relatively small pamphlet, very plain, but it talks about the resin. It talks about the special mechanism for the cap. It talks about the clip, so it's interesting. Hopefully it's something you can read if you would like. I put this in the bottom of the case, and there's some type of glue that held in the insert that held the pen in place, and now it's stuck to the bottom. I can't take it out without ripping it up, so I'm just going to leave it here. Something that you might be aware of if you ever do this with one of your Viscontis or Van Gogh pens. Here's some pens to compare it to. You get a Pelikan M800, an Omas 360, kind of like in the Millard family, a Jinhao X450, and a TWSBI 580. If we take a look at these uncapped, I think we'll find some interesting views. Let's compare it first to the M800. And it's actually a longer nib, and also it holds its own artistically. You got your two-tone. The Pelikan is a 18 karat versus a 14 karat, but I think at the end of the day that's not going to matter. But those tines are certainly very long, so I expect this pen to have a very interesting writing experience. And also when you compare it to the Omas nib, it is quite substantially larger. Again, two-tone. The Omas is a 750 or 18 karat nib. Jinhao is not really a pen that you would compare economically, but the nib holds its own in regards to the nib on the Visconti. And this is also an unfair comparison, but certainly puts things in perspective. The 580, which I think is a number 6 nib, is relatively small compared to the Visconti. Some quick measurements. I think people are interested to take a look at what the pen size is in reality. So it's a 146 or 5.75, which is in a pen world, that's on the large sides. And uncapped, it's 126.7, which is almost 5 inches. Again, in the pen world, this is a good size pen. And posted, it's probably not even going to fit on these calipers. As you can see, it's well over about 6¼ inches, or maybe 165 millimeters. So I'm going to use this Visconti ink, which I have not used before, which is probably not a good thing to do in a review. One of the things that's nice about this pen is it is extremely well made. The materials are all excellent. As you can see, the section here is all metal. And inside the cap is metal thread, so that's a very secure, long-lasting type of system, and certainly not inexpensive. The converter is screw-in, which is also another nice feature, very secure. This ink is 14 years old, never been used, so it was a little bit low in the bottle, so I just added a little bit of water. So we're going to do the classic one draw, expend, draw 2, expend, and on the third draw, we'll feel that's satisfactory for some writing. Wipe it off, cap it, get my rag. One thing nice about metal sections is they do clean up quite easily when you get ink on them, so that is on the positive side. So I mentioned that this was a medium nib, and now it's a fine nib. And the reason for that is when I got the medium nib, this is my first Visconti, and it was extremely wet. And this is having flow issues, which it shouldn't. Again, one of the things about a new ink, a new pen, something it hasn't written in 10 years. We just did a little bit of repriming. And let's see if that, very, very soft nib, I will say that. Now we definitely have some flow issues, and that could be the ink. So let's stop this now. I'm going to do some work and we'll be back. Well, we're back. As far as I could tell, I think I drew up, so for some reason, a lot of air. So now it seems to be doing fine. So this is a super soft, and we are still having some issues, but it's not the pen. It's using old ink that I shook it up a lot, so I think it had a lot of air, and I probably drew up more air than I drew up ink. So that's the scenario. So this is super smooth, super soft. I can see why people enjoy Visconti nibs. It needs a little bit of pressure to write. The tines seem to have to spread just a little bit in order for ink to flow. But as you can see, with just a fair little bit of pressure, you get some nice line variation. And it is a wet writer, which is Visconti's are known for wet writers. So without any pressure, you don't get the flow. And I apologize about this demonstration. So we're going to try again with a different ink. We're back. I've now put in Franklin Christoph Emerald. It still took a while to get the feed to run well. It appears that when you draw up ink in this system, it draws up air bubbles. I don't know where. I mean, I keep the ink up to the section here. There is a hole in the back of the feed down here that appears to be where it draws up the ink from. That's a beautiful feed there. The nib and feed are in good condition. It's not sprung or anything. It's just strange. Here's the sad part. I had this issue with my Omos, the extra, and I just don't have any good experience with either Visconti or Omos. I know they're very popular pens. A lot of people love them. I think this is a beautiful pen. I think it's well made. I think it has some unique features to it. But if I can't write with it consistently, it's not going to be a fan favorite. It's just that the nib feels beautiful, but I don't understand the feed things. I've taken the nib and it unscrews. I guess you could take the nib out of it, but I'm really not in the mood to go to that level. And also for a pen like this, which is probably now a $400 pen, you shouldn't have to do this. It should write consistently all the time, and it doesn't. So apologize for this bizarre review, but I will try to write thank you for watching. Please don't use this one experience to taint your views of Visconti or other pens. I wanted to share this with you. I haven't written with this for 10 plus years, so I may need to do some more experimentation, but as you know, I love my pens. I will continue to work with them and work towards getting them into great writing experiences. So hope you have many great writing experiences. May they all be pleasurable, and may you enjoy them tremendously. Ciao. I've let the pen sit for a couple hours, and I think I got all the air out of the feed. So we're going to try this again. Hopefully you can hear how smooth the nib is. And as we mentioned, it's not a dry writer, that's for certain. Wow, that's a lot of ink. I love this emerald from Franklin Christoph. I think it's 357. I call it 337 on occasion. So I think this is an excellent nib once you get it working right. As you can see, it keeps up with fast writing. And it is really nice and soft, which is what I like in a nib. You can railroad it, but then I think you can do that with any pen, especially the modern pens. They're really not, the feeds aren't, even though it's a wet writer, again, I have trouble with all these permutations, but I'm going to see if I can use this pen on a daily basis for a while and see if it can live up to its reputation. So I just wanted to do that quick follow-up to let you know that the pen seems to be writing okay now. So this is an addendum. Till later, bye.